very much, Mr. Mayor. Residents across Barnet value and are passionate about their libraries. They play a vital role in our communities. The evidence is before you this evening. A mass demonstration outside, a huge petition of more than 7,000 people across the borough have signed, and a packed public gallery this evening. There have been public meetings, demonstrations, even support from Tory councillors when it comes to their local libraries, and even our 3 MPs in Barnet, albeit late in the day, have made it clear that they do not think any of the administration's proposals in their current form are acceptable. Now, I need no convincing about libraries. I remember my first library book. I had a book habit at 10 or 12 that would have vastly outstripped our family budget. I did research for multiple schools projects, and when a house move had me out of school for 3 weeks, I all but lived in the local library, developing a passion for Russian literature and devouring everything I could on cell biology. I can mentally picture every public library I've used regularly, and some remarkable librarians too, and I still get a thrill from walking into a library and knowing that I can choose any book that catches my imagination and try it free of charge. The only rule in our house was you had to finish the first chapter. But libraries aren't just about books, valuable as they are, or about the freedom to read and develop your independent ideas. They're not about DVDs, CDs or e-books, or the professional library staff to guide, inform and support users, young and old. It's not just about study space for young people who either do not have room at home or just want to study together with their friends. Nor is it just about the access to computers and the internet for the 25% of residents who still don't have a computer at home, for developing their skills, for job applications, even access to cheaper purchasing. And it's not just about a warm and welcoming and safe place for those who live in poor housing, can't afford to heat their home, or would otherwise be isolated. It's not just about any of those things, it's about all of those things and more, because libraries are at the heart of our communities. Just look at the fantastic examples elsewhere. And with the right plan, with vision and a real will, there could be so much more in Barnet. This council has squandered more than a decade of opportunities to develop a real 21st century library service, but it's not too late yet. The Labour motion for this extraordinary meeting was submitted to separate out the discussion about the future of our libraries from the budget debate, to allow the administration to reconsider the 3 proposed options, all of which have the effect of completely decimating the library service, and to go back to the drawing board. We and the library campaigners in the public gallery tonight, or out across Barnet, are asking you tonight to agree tonight that you will halt the current proposals and work with residents and staff to develop different proposals that will protect and enhance Barnet's libraries. The amendment from Councillor Tomstone merely says the administration will think about it and decide later, and I don't have much confidence in that. So we're appealing to each and every councillor in the chamber tonight to stop, to listen, to rethink and to reconsult, and to agree to do that tonight. If you believe the current 3 options are not acceptable, then have the courage of your convictions and vote with us tonight. A vote for our motion does not prevent the Cell's Committee or anyone else from considering the results of the consultation so far, but we are saying that a decision to proceed with any of the current options as they currently stand is still not acceptable. If you agree, vote with us tonight. The consultation has just closed. It was deeply flawed, and I think councillors across the political divide recognise that. I asked residents to rank and choose between 3 unacceptable options. And I reiterate that not even the 3 Tory MPs believe those options are acceptable as they stand. The residents of Mill Hill, Charles Hill, Osage, East Finchley, East Barnet, South Pryor and N10 certainly don't think that. Proceeding on the basis of the current consultation could well result in a damaging and expensive legal challenge. Why risk that when you've lost so many already? You can highlight hard-pressed Labour councils elsewhere having to make dreadful hard choices about individual libraries in the face of brutal local government funding kits, but they are not planning to obliterate libraries in the manner of the 3 proposed options under discussion here in Barnet. If you do not agree with the 3 options, vote with us tonight. Mr. Mayor, I move the motion in my name and in the name of every library campaigner, every current library user and every future library user in Barnet. Councillors across the chamber support and vote for my motion for them.
You have 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the amendment in my name and I welcome the opportunity to speak about our fantastic library service. We're fortunate in Barnet to have 14 established venues across the borough and 2 excellent community libraries, one in Hampstead Garden Suburb, and I pay particular tribute to Councillor Marshall for his hand in retaining the Garden Suburb Library, and one in Free Barnet. I regret that some neighbouring Labour authorities have closed up to half of their libraries recently and others still looking at it. Our consultation in Barnet has been explicitly open to alternative options. Officers explored savings through either closures, community models or reducing floor space. This administration decided that a 4th option be included for alternative ideas. With thousands of responses to the questionnaire and around a third of these making such suggestions, there is much more work to do over the coming months. I hope that our Labour opposition are just misunderstanding the nature, scope and response to this consultation, rather than using this extraordinary meeting provision, and now peculiarly misnamed part of our constitution, to attempt to throw out these valuable contributions in a drive to further politicise an already emotive issue. As I assume this is merely based on a lack of understanding rather than ruthless political opportunity, I'm happy to inform Councillor Moore and her colleagues what has been undertaken in this consultation. The open survey for the general public, available online and in a hard copy, yielded thousands of responses with many further suggestions. An easy read version of the survey was provided, and a survey of the citizens panel, which is weighted to represent the population of the borough as a whole. Furthermore, 12 focus groups were conducted, with a total of 112 participants, including one group of 9 non-users and one group of 9 infrequent users, and 10 interviews with users from the home library service. We held 14 drop-in events, one at each static library with over 300 people attending, and a further 4 drop-ins along mobile library routes. There was a survey and 2 focus groups with the library staff. 3 public events were conducted, including a discussion session on option 4, attended by a total of 43 people. The Council's 3 residents fora discussed the options with resident, member and officer contributions. Identified stakeholder groups potentially affected by changes to the service, including Council's 4 partnership boards, the Youth Parliament, the Royal Model Army, the Barnet Seniors Assembly, the Barnet Centre for Independent Living and the Learning Disabilities Network have all been consulted, with opportunities to consider proposals and make suggestions. Officers and members have received numerous communications, including formal written statements and petitions like the one being presented later this evening. Officers conducted a further 3 drop-in sessions targeted where early engagement was low. There was also follow-up with children and young people and a survey for groups who run activities in libraries. The information collected must be considered carefully before a report can be taken to the Children, Education, Libraries and Safeguarding Committee later this year. To suggest, after this information collection has concluded, but before it has been collated, processed and considered, that all of this time and effort should be ignored and another consultation undertaken, risks those members of the public who've made their views known to lose faith and ignore subsequent consultation efforts. I'm sure our colleagues opposite are not looking to degrade the library service we have here, the way that what colleagues in Brent and elsewhere have. So I can only conclude that the intention here is to ensure full consideration of all the potential opportunities and contributions. My amendment is predicated on this optimistic view of an opposition really trying to see a positive outcome, not cynically exploiting this review for narrow political ends. I therefore call on Councillor Moore and her colleagues to demonstrate this good faith by supporting the amendment in my name.
Councillor Jack Cohen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week, the Planning Committee met here at the Town Hall, and amongst other applications, they considered the plans to redevelop the Granville Road estate. The officers confidently recommended approval. The developer made a slick presentation, but local residents were having none of it. They organised themselves, they lobbied, they protested. They pointed out the devastating impact of the loss of green space, the dire need for a replacement community centre, and the threat to Cllr Hill Library under the Council's current proposals. Politicians of all three parties backed the residents. The committee voted to refuse the application, a rare victory for the community. But Mr Mayor, with a bit of real engagement, real listening and proper discussion with residents, we could have avoided a refusal and come up with a plan that would have satisfied everybody. But that just highlights the weakness in the way this council does engage with the community. I call it planning by numbers. Don't blame officers, they follow the rules. But it seems to me there is a distinct lack of understanding about what makes a community tick, what their needs amount to, and that residents are citizens and not customers. The responsibilities of politicians, I say, is to ensure that policies put the citizen first. I'm afraid this administration has yet to demonstrate to me that they have grasped this principle. And so it is with libraries. I was at a packed meeting in Cllr Hill. Many of the same people fighting to protect the Granville Road estate turned out to give their views. And public meetings across the length and breadth of the borough attracted full houses. And over 10,000 people have now signed a petition, and the numbers are growing day by day. Overwhelmingly, people want this council to think again. Even the three Conservative MPs now apparently have seen the light. You know, Mr Mayor, I spoke at the Cllr Hill meeting. I stressed time and again that closing or decimating libraries is a political decision. This administration can halt this flawed process in its tracks if it wanted to. They could instruct the officers at a stroke to come up with plans that keep Barnet's libraries open for business. Indeed, Mr Mayor, all they have to do is to ask the officers to implement Barnet Conservatives' own election manifesto, which they describe as Barnet libraries are in good shape, we will keep the Barnet libraries open, we will deliver improvements to libraries, examine the potential for libraries to expand their offer, and so on and so on. So that is why, Mr Mayor, I am so disappointed with the response this evening. Councillor Thompson's amendment does not give me any confidence that there is a political will, the urgency or desire to change tack. In a brilliant article in the Evening Standard last week by Rosamond Irwin, she pointed out, libraries are public places where you are a citizen, not a customer. They can be refuges when you want to be alone, yet they glue communities together. Libraries are bearers of civilization, and they are open to all. Mr Mayor, it is obvious to anyone with half a gram of common sense that the residents have already rejected these proposals. Let's go back to the drawing board, engage the community properly, rule nothing in, rule nothing out. We have libraries to be proud of. Let's keep it this way.
Councillor Hutton, I believe you're going to sum up. You have up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm appalled, really, at the lack of clarity, vision and community leadership shown by the current administration's so-called library consultation. In my role as Shadow Lead for this area, I've been looking at what other councils are doing, and I've been struck by the different approach. No matter what their political hue, all face budgetary constraints, but most have seized the opportunity to take a holistic approach to find out what residents and others want from their library service, before, and this is the key point, going out to formal consultation. Conservative-controlled Devon, for example, which has 50 libraries to manage, has made a huge effort to ensure they bring in residents, community groups, staff and businesses to try to gauge local opinion and what would work. They've held talks, workshops, community events, and they've been surprised at some of the innovative findings. If you don't ask, how would you know? The difference is that Barnet Tories would rather not know. The only thing they care about is taking 2.85 million out of the sales budget. The main culprit, of course, is the coalition government, propped up by our 3 Tory MPs, none of whom have said they agree with these proposals. There is absolutely no need for this hasty decision, and this administration should go back to the drawing board. They could start by asking what local people want from a 21st century library service instead of just asking which cuts they prefer. That's why people are so angry. If they are to survive, libraries have to adapt with the times, but they can and should be the hub of the local community. They cannot do that cut to the size of a living room. An incoming Labour government in a few weeks' time may not have any more money, but it will be using funding differently. This coalition keeps saying there is no money, but they can find money to put Union Jacks on all British products. That's the latest gimmick. If they can find it they can find it for local services. The truth is that they don't want to, and Barnet's Tories can't move fast enough to do their bidding for them. That's the real reason why there is such a rush to implement these cuts. The amendment down in Councillor Thompson's name still includes the options put forward in the consultation and says, if necessary, call on officers, etc. Although I agree it should go back to sales, and if it does, I will work with the Conservative group to find a solution, but it does need a complete rethink, not just tinkering around the edges, and for that reason I can't support the amendment as it is. Local residents and the Labour group are saying there is another way. Go back and think again. I think that cry is loud enough. And by the way, Councillor Thompson, there were 17 libraries. I think the Conservative group cut Totteridge Library. I move my amendment.
Thank you very much indeed. Before moving to the votes, I would just like to congratulate the gallery, without being patronising, on listening to the speeches and not interrupting. Thank you very much indeed. It does help. Now I'll take a vote on the amendments in the order that they were moved. So, Councillor Thompson's amendment, all in favour, please show. All against? Councillor Salinger, please. Can you declare the vote, please?
Mr Mayor, that was 31 votes in favour of the amendment and 31 votes against.
Your big chance, Mr Mayor.
31 votes in favour of the amendment and 31 votes against.
In accordance with full Council Procedure Rule 15.1, I am casting my vote.
As landlord.
Against. As you may have gathered, I'm voting. Sorry, correction. I'm voting for Councillor Thompson's amendment.
Mr Mayor, can we have some legal advice on changing the vote in this chamber? This is the third error tonight. Can we have some legal advice on this?
The vote that's just taken place was a vote on Councillor Thompson's amendment. My understanding from what the Mayor has said is that he indicated in error initially that he was voting against it. In fact, intended to vote for it.
You've been in you won't let us, would you? Aren't you supposed to indicate before you vote? It's more...
It's open, of course, to members to ask for...
Equality.
To clarify.
So Councillor Tomstone's amendment is carried.
It is not carried.
Isn't carried.
We move on to Councillor
No, we don't.
Hutton's amendment. All in favour, please show.
It's by the books, by HSBC's book.
Could we have a legal opinion on the last vote, please?
Call out Caro. Go on, tell them to get on the bus. They're busy.
All against Councillor Hutton's amendment, please show.
People on the floor.
The vote on Councillor Hutton's amendment was 31 votes for and 31 votes against.
And just to be sure, my custom vote, I vote against Councillor Hutton's amendment. Thank you.
This is a division. This is a division on the amendment in the name of Councillor Hutton. Could I ask councillors please to indicate whether they're voting for, against, or not voting on Councillor Hutton's amendment? And please note that I'll be calling the name of Mr. Deputy Mayor and Mr. Mayor in alphabetical order, as opposed to at the beginning. Councillor Braun. Councillor Chalice.
For.
Councillor Coakley-Webb.
For.
Councillor Dean Cohen. Councillor Jack Cohen. Councillor Melvin Cohen. Councillor Philip Cohen.
For.
Councillor Jeff Cook.
For.
Councillor Alison Cornelius.
Against.